Hello, welcome to another exciting event of the Maryland STEM Festival. This event we call the High School Girls Military STEM Career Night. I'm your host, Phil Rogofsky, the founder of the Maryland STEM Festival. We call this program high school because in the first couple of years, pre-COVID, we were holding it in high schools. But we think this program will benefit girls of many ages, middle school, high school, and maybe even a little past that as well. So as many of you know, the women have been gaining an increasing role in our military. There was a point in our history when women had very limited roles, usually clerical or serving as assistants to higher officers. But today, women in our military serve just about every role that men serve. And we are holding this program to let people know about some of the amazing work that is done by our military women, both active duty and retired, and hopefully inspire some girls to follow their footsteps into STEM-oriented careers. The military has an amazing number of STEM roles that women can fill if they enter the military that can serve as very enriching and rewarding careers, both in the military and past the military. So tonight we're going to be talking to a number of women about those roles and why they are in the military. We're going to start our program with a very special guest. We have with us retired General Linda Singh. Retired General was appointed to the 29th Adjunct General of Maryland effective January 21st, 2015, and she was responsible for the daily operation of the Maryland Military Department, which includes the National Guard, the Air National Guard, and the Emergency Management. She served as the major liaison for Governor Hogan and was essentially a cabinet member. She retired in 2019. She received her commission in 1991 through the Maryland Military Academy's Officer Candidate School in Reisterstown. Her career spanned over 30 years of service, both in the enlisted and officer ranks. She served at many levels of command in various staff assignments, two of which were overseas deployment to Kosovo and a combat tour to Afghanistan supporting Operation Enduring Freedom. Her previous military assignment included Commander of Maryland Army National Guard and Director of Joint Services. She grew up in Frederick County and is a longtime resident of Prince George's County, where she currently lives with her husband and her two daughters. And currently she is the owner and CEO of Kaleidoscope Effect. I'm going to turn the program over to General Singh to tell us a little bit about her perspective.
Great, thank you. And Phil, thanks so much for having me really talk to this amazing group. And I hope that everyone can take something away from this, because when I think about just the military and what it means really for women, and I think, right now the possibilities are endless. And now is the time. If you are even thinking about or contemplating being in the military, now is probably the best time. I joined the military in 1981 as a private E1. So if you think about, I retired as a major general, but I joined at the very bottom of the ranks and stayed enlisted for 11 years. And I worked personnel, I've worked finance, and then I became an ordnance officer, and then ultimately a logistics officer. And why is that important? You would say, if you're not in cyber, or if you're not in signal, which is really the computer systems, if you're not in those fields, then you really are not in a technology field. Well, that couldn't be farthest from the truth. When you go back to really all the way back to even the Civil War, the World War I and World War II, when you look at innovation, a lot of innovation is started in the military and then imported or really pushed out and commercialized across the world, as a matter of fact. And so when we really think about all of the different careers, if you actually look at just being in human resources, or if you were, going to be a computer systems analyst, all of those have some level of capability that you can actually, once you come out of the military, you can actually go into the civilian skills. And I know, some individuals, they always ask me, well, General Singh, you worked at a large consulting company. Well, first off, I was able to get that job at a large consulting company because of the skills that I earned, or the things that I did with the military. It allowed me to be able to use different logistics systems. And that actually landed me a job with a defense contractor where I was actually helping to create and update and do modernization on those systems. So it's the replacement of the systems. And then when you think about just moving that all the way forward, I've implemented more major systems for organizations. And when you think about, what do those systems mean? If you think about our healthcare systems, if you think about all the systems through your airport, it's systems like that. Those are the types of things that I was able to work on. And so when I think about the Maryland National Guard, the unique thing about the Guard and the Reserves is that when you're in the Guard and Reserves and not necessarily active duty, you can run a dual career. So I ran a dual career for really 38 years. That's a long time to be working multiple jobs. And when I retired last year, I had 38 years of service. Probably most of these individuals that will be talking with you later, they're probably all not even that old, right? So I was probably in the service longer than many of them. But when I think about 38 years of service and being able to not just join the National Guard at age 17, but I was able to then lead the National Guard, right? Going through and getting my education, continuing to stay up on my skills. I was able to go in and lead the National Guard that I joined at age 17. Now that doesn't happen for many people, but if you are persistent, if you keep on your education and you make use of the opportunities that present themselves for you, you're going to be able to go higher than what you can imagine. Under my command, we had cyber, we had computer systems analysts, we had individuals that focused in on medical, we had folks that were transportation, doing logistics systems, meaning supplies and moving, supplies back and forth. So we had aviation. So I also had a lot of folks who were helicopter pilots, airplane pilots, and some of those individuals all worked for major airlines as well. And so when you think just the whole span of what you can do joining the military, it is not what I would call our grandmothers or our great grandmothers, maybe in your case, is military. It is completely different than what it was back even when I came in. As a matter of fact, when I think about the biggest thing that I was able to do, and it was just amazing, and I just have to hit on this because for women, you don't see as many senior women leaders as you would think, even in this day and age. And so there are so few of us, and when we're all spread out and you don't see us together, there's no way for us to be able to kind of have this mass grouping. But before I left the Maryland National Guard, I had the amazing opportunity. I was at the point where I was selecting leaders to replace leaders that were actually transitioning out to other positions. And my first one selected in 2018, so right around the time in 2018, was a female logistics officer who became the lead for the Maryland Army National Guard. Only the second woman behind me, so only the second woman behind me to lead the Maryland Army National Guard. And so she came into position right around the end of 2018. Then in about June timeframe of last year, I actually was able to select another female who became the Assistant Adjutant General for the Air National Guard. What was so amazing is she was a pilot, so she flew those big aircraft that you would see sometimes in the sky, what we call the C-130s. So she was a C-130 pilot. And so she was running the Air National Guard. This absolutely never happens. The fact that I actually had very talented leaders and they happened to be female was pretty amazing. And then to top it off, my senior enlisted retired. And when we selected his replacement, was also a female. So here I am getting ready to retire last year, and we have the top leadership of the Maryland National Guard. That, amazing team, just so happened to be all female. That has never happened in the history of the National Guard, and it really hasn't happened in the history of any of our military units. You just don't see that many. But the fact that I was able to just be a party and a witness to see these amazing leaders step into their roles. Two of them are still into place. The other one actually is down at National Guard Bureau, where she's continuing to work. And I will tell you, for the ladies, if you are out there and you're contemplating joining the military, don't listen to the negative talk, as in it's not for women, it's not for this. If it is in your heart, then you move forward and you take that opportunity, but you need to make the best of it. And when I say make the best of it, get your education, take everything that they're going to give you in terms of those education benefits. Don't forget about, your housing benefits and all of the other things that you can have the opportunity to be able to get that little bit of a leg up. And if you decide to stay in the service as long as I did, 38 years, you're probably going to come out at a pretty senior rank. You may not be a general, but you will come out at a pretty senior rank, and you will have an amazing career. And 9 times out of 10, you'll be young enough to start a second career, which is why I've now started really, my own company. I think I'm on like my 4th or 5th career, but that's okay. And so I would encourage all of you to at least consider the opportunity, especially if you need part of your education paid for. Consider the opportunity. It is such an amazing place to be. And right now, when I think about the numbers that I've seen just in the Army alone, I think that they have recruited this year. So for the Army this year, they've recruited the most diverse set of recruits that they've probably ever recruited. And it's at the time where we're in the middle of COVID. So can you imagine just having your recruiting numbers just really, really going off the charts? And so hopefully that gives you a little bit and gets you a little excited about kind of bringing this mix of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics and applying that to service, and then taking that service and letting it propel you into another career when you get done. And so I think I'm going to stop there, because we have some other amazing ladies that I want you to get to hear, and I want you to hear about their experiences, because they are going to tell you what I think is going to be some pretty cool things that they're doing in their fields. So I want to say thanks, Phil.
Thank you very much, General Singh. And yes, we have been very fortunate to assemble a wonderful collection of diverse women with diverse skills from many of our branches. And I'd like to start right now by allowing each of them to introduce themselves by giving their name, their title and rank, their branch of the military, and then a very, very brief description of what they do. Why don't we start with Major Crane? Why don't you go first?
All right. Well, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I am Major Sarah Crane. I am a cyber officer in the United States Army. I graduated from the United States Military Academy at West Point quite a few years back. And right now I'm working at Fort Meade, and I've got to say, been in for about 15 years, and it's an exciting job. No 2 days are alike. I thoroughly enjoy working with a group of soldiers, a good group of civilians that are just absolutely dedicated to what they do day in and day out. They like learning and they like challenges. And it, kind of ever since I was little, I love puzzles, figuring things out, and most importantly, teamwork. And that's kind of what led me to the Army, led me to the military, was just the thought of kind of something bigger than myself and really being a part of a team. And that has not really let me down in the past 15 or so years. So I come from a math slash operations research background. Don't necessarily apply that day to day in my current job, but I've certainly used it and the skills I've learned to do intelligence analysis and kind of just lead people. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
So why did you choose the military? What was it like at West Point? Were there a fair number of women when you were there?
There were. It was the women were, I think, in a minority, but it has since grown. I definitely had, female classmates and a good solid group of friends all 4 years. And it basically, is moving towards, I think, representing the overall US population. But when I was there, it was a little skewed towards the male side of things. And what drew me in, I'm a military brat. So my dad was in the Army, and I grew up moving and kind of just going from base to base and place to place. And I absolutely I liked it. I liked kind of hearing about his day, watching him interact with soldiers, and just enjoy what he did so much in service for the nation. And when I was a high school student, I did a visit at West Point and was just absolutely sold on the concept of serving and going. Wasn't always easy, but I'm certainly glad I went, and some of the strongest friendships and relationships I've built, started freshman year at West Point.
And what did your father do in the military?
He was intelligence officer as well, and then kind of did some one-offs in a couple different places, but he did that. And then I forgot to mention my sister strayed slightly by going to the Air Force Academy. I try not to give her too hard of a time on that, so we're kind of a family built on that. It's just kind of, I don't want to say it's in our blood, but kind of we're brought up from a young age.
Thank you. Captain Livingston, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about what you do?
Absolutely. Hey, ladies. My name is Captain Donna Livingston. I'm U.S. Air Force. I have been in 6 years, so my story is different. I tried to convince my daughter to join the Air Force because she did ROTC in high school, but it didn't work out. So I joined at the age of 40. I said, let me go in, let me, travel and see the world for 4 years. If I didn't like it, I would at least get my master's and just get out, because I was already an OR nurse, and that is my trade specialty. I am an OR nurse. I was already an OR nurse as a civilian, so if it didn't work out, I have my master's, didn't pay for it. But if I liked it, I would stay in, retire for 20 years. And so far, I am loving it. I wish I actually joined when I was much younger, because kind of like the general said, I would have been retired now and on my second career, but it's never too late. Absolutely never too late. The experiences that I've gone through, I have deployed. Medical is a little different than the line side. With the line side, you kind of know what the mission is. So line side means you're more for the Air Force pilots or the mechanics, you're on the ground. So I'm on the medical side. So all we do pretty much is take care of patients, take care of beneficiaries, the families, retirees. And when I deployed, and then we get those Rangers coming in or all those active duty men, and we're taking care of them, that's when I realized what my mission was to take care of those active duty airmen, soldiers, Marines, civilians, everyone. It's phenomenal. Right now, I am an executive officer. So I am the base commander's exec, and I'm seeing a different part of the military there. So there's just so many different things that you can do. So even though I'm an OR nurse, I'm still seeing another part of the military, which I absolutely love. So, and there's just with the mission partners, because he gets involved with government as well. So I'm seeing that aspect of it. So Yeah, I love it.
And you're stationed at Andrews?
Yes, sir. Yes. So, and being stationed at Andrews, it's different. You do hear about it being different because it does focuses on the president and that
Mhm.
aspect of it. And in January, I'm actually going to be in the inauguration. If I
Ah,
was not in the military, I would have not have had that opportunity. So if the opportunity comes, absolutely say yes, because you just never know. You just never get this opportunity again.
what did the rest of your family think when you decided to join the Air Force when you did?
My daughter thought I was crazy. Um, when I went to MEPS, which is medical exam, it was a bunch of 20-year-olds. So, you're doing all these exams, my bones, I'm older, 40 years old. So I'm just hearing a bunch of cracking. I'm like, I can't do this duck walk. And my daughter's like, well, what do you expect? You're 40 years old. They're 20. Um, they were proud of me, actually proud of me. My dad was prior Army and
Mhm,
my brother was prior Navy.
mhm.
Prior to me going in, I worked at the VA. So there were Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and just hearing everyone's story and kind of what they went through, I said, aha, Air Force is where I'm going.
Mhm. Which VA did you work at?
The one in Atlanta.
Okay. Is that where
Yes.
you're originally from?
No, originally from New York. So I've
Okay.
lived in New York, Virginia, Atlanta, now Maryland. So you would have thought I was in the military or a military brat. I just like to travel, so it fits me well.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank
Staff Sergeant Harder, can you please introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what you do?
Hi there. My name is Staff Sergeant Andrea Harder. I am in the Air Force. I've been about 7 years. I work with pilots, so I'm aviation resource management. Um, I'm pretty much the line before they go to fly. So I check all of their records, make sure they're physically fit. I make sure that they have all of their training in order to fly the actual aircraft. And we also manage some of their pay and all of their records.
And why did you choose to enter the military?
I chose to enter the military. I was 23 and I was living on my own in California. And civilian life was a little hard. I
Mhm.
couldn't get the money right. And I wanted a challenge. I wanted to do something that meant something instead of what I was doing then. Also, education is hugely important. So I was joined for that. Um, and it's definitely a fulfilling career. I love it every day. I re-enlist and I'll stay for as long as they'll have me.
Now you said education important. Are you studying for a degree right now?
I am. I'm trying to figure out which degree I would want to go to. So I'm thinking more towards human resources because I love people. I love handling all types of their situations. I love talking to them. It's just it's something that really gives me power and like fulfills me just to help people out. So I'm thinking human resources, and there's a bunch of certifications that I can qualify for as well.
And you're stationed at Andrews as well, correct?
Yes, sir. It's been about 2 months here, so it's not too bad.
And where were you stationed before Andrews?
First, I was in South Dakota, and second, I was in Washington State.
Hmm. And where are you taking your courses?
I'm going to take them online. I can also take them in person.
Hmm.
So online makes a little bit more sense. I do have a family, so the online thing is perfect. It's
Sure.
great.
How old are your children?
I have a 3 and a 5-year-old.
Well, that keeps you busy as well as being in the Air Force.
Yes, sir, but they love it. They think it's so cool to see helicopters and planes fly all the time. I mean, I'm really glad I get to share this with them.
And I'm guessing you do have some women pilots you work with.
I do. Yes. Yeah, and they are amazing. And
Mhm.
there's pilots, there's enlisted aviators as well, and dealing with all of them it's phenomenal.
Mhm. Is there any history of military service in your family?
Both of my grandfathers were in, my maternal grandfather was in World War II in the Navy, and my paternal grandfather was in the Korean War, I believe, and he was in the Army.
Mhm.
but it
Well,
skipped
thank
a
you.
generation.
That's okay. That's all right. Well, thank you very much. Captain Candelaria, could you please introduce yourself?
Yes, good evening, everybody. My name is Captain Nicole Candelaria, and I'm also in the U.S. Air Force, also from Andrews Air Force Base. And my Air Force career started when I was 17 years old. I was the first one in my family to graduate high school after 2 generations of people,
Mhm.
of family members. And I grew up in a very rough neighborhood. I didn't have anybody to guide me really, and a recruiter started talking to me about what some of my options were, um, and how I could better my life. So I ended up choosing to go into the Air National Guard at 17 years old. My first day of boot camp was 4th of July, just after my 18th birthday. And I did supply. I was a supply troop for 9 years in the Air National Guard before I decided to get out, start my family, and I went to school. I came back in after, I think I was out for 7 years, and as an ICU nurse. I was already an ICU nurse on the outside. Really missed having my military family, missed traveling around, and decided that I would try to come back in on the officer side, and I did. And I've been in now for 7 years on the officer side, and I'm an ICU nurse, and I've had the privilege of working in every ICU you could work in. And I've also had the privilege of working in some very prestigious units, working for our first and second families in the DC area, and for the executive branch. And I love it every single day. Just like Captain Livingston, now switching over from a bedside nursing job and working more in the office in an administrative role. Captain Livingston and I work in the same office, and I'm actually now the Commander's Action Group Director for the Installation Commander at Joint Base Andrews. What that pretty much means is I deal with the legislative liaison to make sure that we're communicating with our government leaders. I do a lot of event planning and base tours for different populations of people, and then work with a lot of planning on the base. As far as, I was trying to think of some of your other questions.
Well, first, you said you grew up in a challenging neighborhood. Where did you grow up?
I grew up south of Chicago.
Okay. And you said you entered the military right after high school, correct?
Yes, I graduated early and was trying to figure out what I was going to do next. I really didn't know.
So you studied to be a nurse while you were in the Air Force?
I actually had gotten out of the Air Force after my enlisted time and used my GI Bill from the military to go to school, and then came back in.
Okay. So during your first tour of duty, what were some of your roles? What were some of your positions?
So my first role was working for a supply troop. So essentially I did all the ordering, training, and would get together all of the pallets of supplies for what the Air Force calls their TACPs, which is essentially, if you may have heard, Tier 1 operators. They're much like the Navy SEALs, but for the Air Force, they're called TACPs. The Army also has the Rangers. So they work right up on that scale. And so I worked for them for 6 years, and then switched over and worked for the commander of a maintenance squadron in an administrative role for the last 3 years of my Guard experience.
And I'm sorry, what was the time between your first and second tour?
Oh, geez. I think it was about 7, 8 years.
Hmm. And do you have children?
I do. I have 4 girls,
Hmm.
21, 20, 14, and 13. And they have absolutely loved and enjoyed the traveling, and they are very supportive of what I do day in and day out. Uh, Sometimes, it can be a challenge, especially in their teenage years, to move and to move away from friends. And they've really done a really good job of it. And thank goodness with the internet and everything we have now, they're able to just have friends all over the place and still communicate with them. So that's been a blessing.
And do you think any of them may enter the military?
I'm not sure. I think one of them maybe, but the rest of them, I think
Really?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But who knows? Who knows?
You never know. You never
No,
know.
no.
Well, thank you very much.
Mhm.
And I'm assuming LCD stands for Lieutenant Commander Menenza, and I'm sure I mispronounced your name.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lieutenant Commander Stephanie Mayenza, United States
Menenza.
Navy.
Great.
Yes, sir.
So please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yes, sir. So the reason I joined the military was to help others, and I knew that the military would give me the opportunity, the education, the skill set, and the opportunity to help others. So I actually applied to the United States Naval Academy, got in and graduated back in 2010, and now I'm back at my alma mater as an admissions counselor. So now I'm helping future Naval Academy midshipmen and future Naval and Marine Corps officers change the trajectory of their lives through military service.
What were some of the positions or duties you had after you graduated from the Naval Academy?
After graduating from the Naval Academy, I went down to Pensacola, Florida for naval aviation, but that didn't work out. I was fortunate enough to be picked up by the human resources community for the Navy and started my work with Naval Education and Training Command, ensuring that we had instructors at the right place at the right time to get our young sailors ready for the mission. And then from there, I went to actually another education and training command, this time specifically for Center for Security Forces, where they would teach our gunners mates and our masters at arms, our anti-terrorism force protection courses. So ensuring that the instructors had everything they need so that they could focus on live fire evolutions and not be distracted by any personnel or personal issues. From there, I went to the Pentagon at Navy's N1, again, ensuring that we had on a larger scale the financial resources and manpower resources that we needed for the education and training demand. I've worked in education and training for a long time.
It's very important to our military.
Absolutely. And so actually part of my portfolio was the Naval Academy. So now I come full circle helping out at the Naval Academy.
And why did you choose the Naval Academy? Do you have a family history of military service?
No, well, I'm first generation American, so I actually had family members who served in the Philippines, and the role that the Navy has played in the Philippine history, being able to be the first responder when no one else could get there, that definitely had an impact on my family and my choice of applying only to the Naval Academy. I didn't apply to the other service academies.
What type of degree did you graduate with from the Naval Academy? I know that you have to specialize in some area.
I graduated with a Bachelor in Science in Chemistry and a minor in Japanese.
Very interesting. So you've liked chemistry, I guess.
Yes. It was a fascinating subject in high school, and then carried it on through college.
Do you have a family?
I do. I'm married with 2 kids, a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, both daughters. And I didn't think about this when I was entering the military, but now that I am a mom, realizing all those benefits, Not only did the Navy pay for my bachelor's, but also my master's, and then I can pass on my GI Bill to my children, so their college is paid for already as well. And being able to provide that financial stability for them.
When you were in the military, what roughly percentage of women were there? I'm guessing women were still a minority.
When I graduated from the Naval Academy, it was only 10%. But 10 years later, we are now at 30%. And
Wow.
it's thanks to opportunities like these, events like these, where we can get that word out. And like General Singh was saying, is to not listen to those naysayers who say that the military is not for women. That's not true.
What challenges, or did you feel you faced any additional challenges being a woman at the Naval Academy and now in the Navy?
Like Major Crane was saying, I was surrounded by good people. I felt I had a very good experience at the Naval Academy. Maybe one challenge I did encounter was being underestimated. I'm also somewhat petite. So just with regards to appearance, I would be underestimated, and being able to prove those people wrong with my competence, being able to overcome those barriers, it gave me even more confidence.
What would you say you like most about your job right now?
Definitely being able to help people. In my past few jobs, I was stuck behind spreadsheets, and now being able to get out in front of students and help mentor them through not only the admissions process, but maybe offering options on what courses they can, or what paths they can take next after high school.
All right, place yourself now in the role of recruiter. What will you tell a young woman why she should enter the Naval Academy or the military?
Why enter the military is because of those benefits, because of the opportunities that you have to be part of something greater, being able to help people in ways that you wouldn't be able to maybe in the private sector. Why the Naval Academy? Because not only is it free, tuition free, but also close to home. Our location in beautiful downtown Annapolis, not too far from DC and Baltimore. You get an opportunity, if you validate some courses with us, can start your graduate education at any local university in either of those two cities, as well as that leadership and character development that you'll get at the Naval Academy or any service academy. But you'll be a leader and an asset to any organization that you join in or out of the military. And then with, I think across all the service academies, a high graduation rate, 89%. We want you to succeed at the service academies. We have a family there to support you. We need you out there in the fleet.
And I'm going to ask what's probably an obvious question. I'm guessing you're going to stay in the Navy till at least retirement?
I'm trying to take it day by day, sir.
Okay. All right. That's a good answer. Well, thank you very much, and thank you for your service. Major Crane, I'd like to again, put you in the role of recruiter. What would you tell a young woman, a young girl, why they should enter the military? What's in it for them?
At the risk of kind of repeating some general themes, it opens up just a world of opportunities. I don't think a lot of girls, a lot of women truly understand just all of the options the military has to offer. I know we've kind of discussed it, but anything and everything from like the GI Bill and paying for a bachelor's, paying for a master's, to jumping out of airplanes, to I mean, to traveling to places that you really wouldn't even think of, and just having some amazing educational or cultural experiences, and being able to pass those benefits off to your kids, to your dependents. So that, combined with just a network, a built-in kind of military network. I don't know much about Lieutenant Commander Manza. This is my first time meeting her, but I can kind of just assume some shared experiences, having gone through a military academy, and knowing that if I were to meet her in person, I would jokingly say, "Go Army, beat Navy," and she would probably respond, "Go Navy, beat Army." So just kind of having that that support network, kind of military-wide, service-wide, unit-wide, and it's something that's truly bigger than yourself. You kind of find some kindred spirits where you go. I like the sense of adventure and moving, and I grew up with that. And you kind of find a new place to call home, and that's really the people that are around you. So, kind of just various layers of things. But if I were to, encourage people to join, I'd say, kind of talk to someone or cast a wide net and talk to kind of like the various women that you see today, very different backgrounds, very different specialties and services. So you can this is just scratching the surface of what the military has to offer.
Mhm. And there's nothing wrong repeating the theme, because we want to emphasize to the girls or the women that will watch this that there is so much continuity between those branches and that they're all have so much to offer. So thank you so much. Captain Livingston, could you please sit in the role of a recruiter and tell us what you would say to a young woman or girl about entering the military?
Absolutely. But the last two said pretty much all those aspects, as well as the network of friends that you form. They become your family away from family. And I believe it's lifelong bonds. Again, when I deployed, I was only with those individuals for 6 months, but they are the closest to family ever. Absolutely. You cherish those relationships.
And you obviously have taken a different path than the other women on this event, and you still strongly recommend entering the military.
Oh, absolutely. At any age. Absolutely. You will not regret it. You will not regret it. Whether for the benefits, the people you meet, the experiences, you always will have a story. Yeah.
Do they ask you to go out and talk to women, your contemporaries, about joining the military?
No, they don't. When I tell them how old I am, I'm like, oh my gosh, what? Yeah.
Well, you need to talk to someone in the recruitment office, because you are a poster child for people who might think the military is their second career, as opposed to having a second career after the military.
That is very true. Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much. Captain Candelario, what would you tell a young woman, a young girl, about why they should enter the military or consider entering the military?
I would piggyback on what everybody has already said. And one of the things I think about when I joined so young would be it allows you to grow and mature, and socially, emotionally, in your career, and always having somebody there that's going to support you and guide you and kind of look out for your well-being, because it most definitely it is a family, and they care for you and really look out for your best interest. I would highly recommend it to anybody, any age as well. Seeing how I went in when I was younger, and then I came in again when I was older, and I really enjoy it.
And again, you also have a different path, because you took the time out of the military and then you returned.
Yes, and I would do it again.
And I guess, and this is also a question back to Captain Livingston, is I didn't realize that you could return and that there weren't age limits. I always thought that, after you were some certain age, that you could not return to the military or enter the military. So, but that's has changed.
Yes.
Or my conception was wrong.
Well, I think you can enter at any age. It depends on the profession. So medical, they need a lot of nurses. They need a lot of doctors. Pilots too, they need pilots. So they'll there's waivers for any and everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll bet there's not one for Navy SEALs.
I'm not sure.
Yes, but that's very good to know, because again, I always thought that after an age 30 or 35, you couldn't enter the military, but that's great to hear that there's opportunities regardless of your age.
Absolutely.
Yes, there are.
All right. Thank you both very much. Staff Sergeant Harder, again, putting you in the same role, what would you tell a young woman why she should, or young girl, why she should consider the military, why it'd be a great opportunity for her?
Yes, sir. I think joining the military it was a dive. It was something that I did not think I would ever do, but I'm glad that I did. Just to piggyback off everyone else, having that camaraderie and knowing that you can step into a room and it can be all the branches and you all have something in common. You've shared something. Someone's been to where you've deployed. Someone has been to the base that you were at. And it's just like a grapevine and everyone knows each other. It's just a fantastic way to grow and live. And opportunities are everywhere. So having that it's second to none.
Great, thank you very much. And we'll conclude, give the last word to our highest ranking woman, General Singh. How would you mentioned it in your keynote, but what would you add about why women should enter the military?
Well, I mean, you know, my path was a little bit different than everybody else in the fact that I was a high school dropout and I was homeless at the time that the military gave me the opportunity to get out of my hometown where I needed a place, right? I needed something to do and I had no idea which direction I was going to go because of just where circumstances were. It was not that I was a bad student. I was a very good student, but you know, just things took a turn for the worse. And what I will tell you is that there's not too many places that sometimes will give you that opportunity when you're down and out. And you know, the thing that I've found just in all my years of serving and watching all of, you know, the individuals that have served with me, and, you know, in the Maryland Guard, we had almost 7,000. That's just a round number, but almost 7,000. And so when you think about, you know, me seeing people come from all walks of life, it's truly one of the only, you know, organizations, regardless of which service, that will take you from no matter where you came from. And they don't question as long as you're meeting the requirements, and they don't look at you and say, you know, you came out of Southeast DC, or you came out of Frederick City, Maryland, or you came out of the country, or you came from West Virginia. They don't care as long as you do your job and you learn and you continue to grow. And so it truly is, you know, one of the only organizations that I know that, you know, yes, they have, you know, all the services have their challenges, and we've come such a long way. I mean, when I came in 81, it was so different, but where it is now, if I was a young person getting to join the military now, oh my gosh, if you can imagine that I retired as a major general, can you imagine where I would be with all of the opportunities that are out there? Because I definitely would be special forces, or, you know, because I was a country girl. So I love doing all the crazy stuff in the woods. Yes, I was a really crazy one, but, you know, we weren't allowed to at that point in time. The other thing that I will say to you is, you know, there's no other place where you can go and work. I was in Afghanistan and sitting in the operations center working. And can you imagine working with people from 130 different countries, all in one building, where they're all speaking, you know, sometimes different languages, but yet the common language is English for the most part. And then a place that I've been able to, and not everybody gets a chance to travel as much as I have, but I've traveled to over 130 countries.
Wow.
And that is being able to experience what you don't get to see when you only live in the United States. And so I don't know of any other organization, very few, that you can join, whether it's Army, Air Force, Marines, the Navy, I don't know, or even the Coast Guard. We don't want to forget the Coast Guard because we didn't have Coast Guard represented tonight, right? So I don't know of any of the services that you couldn't join where you can get an amazing experience. And right now, today, they've opened up a lot of things for women. And so it is an amazing place to be. And it's an amazing place where you can start your point in life. So what would I say to a young person standing in front of a recruiter? Don't second guess. If you want to do it, go for it. You know, it reminds me of the commercial that the Army used to have way back when I originally came in, as be all you can be. And it is truly about being all you can be. And so my hat's off to you. And ladies, I want to tell you, it's been amazing listening to your stories, because it just makes me smile, because that was the reason why I stayed for so many years. It was because of women and service members like you. So I want to thank you all for your service.
Thank you very much. And yes, first, I would like to thank all of you for your service. All of you are a shining example of America and of the military, and you are all doing a great job, and I really appreciate it. And secondly, I would like to thank you for being here, and hopefully this program today, as well as in the future, will encourage some young women, some young girls to enter the military. So thank you so much for being here tonight, and have a great evening. And please encourage people to watch and participate in the rest of the festival, and we will do what we can to get you a few more females in the military. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so let me get